Let's go. Line 1. Hello, Jim. You're on the air.
Hello. How are you, sir?
I'm fine this afternoon. Thank you. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Grand.
I just want to thank the people. I thanked everybody that was on the other shows. I wanted to thank everybody that come out and support us on our arrest the other day. So thank you very much to the people who are listening to you.
All right. Go right ahead, sir.
I just did. Thank you very much for that. I really appreciate it.
Okay, well, let me ask you a couple of questions. Now, I assume that you are, you're one of the gentlemen that was arrested for defying the court order last week, right, sir?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And you want to thank those who came out to support you. And I understand if you take this action upon yourself, then you knew exactly what you're getting yourself into, knew what could happen. So, first off, you weren't surprised when you got arrested, I assume, were you, Jim?
I would have been disappointed if I hadn't been.
Fair enough. And given that fact and knowing that you were doing it for a visual and symbolic protest, to thank those who support you, are you thinking it's a good idea for people to support breaking the law?
Depends on whose law and what law, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't, not whatsoever. See, that's the unfortunate reality in the world. We all have our own thoughts and opinions on the validity of certain laws, but when they're on the books, they become such.
Exactly right, but there's still somebody else's law, right? I hear what you're saying.
I'm only asking as a question. I'm not condemning you personally, sir.
There's nothing wrong with this. I really expect that from that side of the water. I really do, because the attitude is you own us, so you could just go ahead and legislate us wherever you want, right back into our backyards if you want. I mean, you can because you own us.
No, it's the same thing.
Because you own us. So
that's not fair, though, Jim.
I get what you're saying. It's very condescending, and I understand that because I did graduate high school, so I understand the word.
It's condescending from me, Jim?
Yeah, from me, too.
Well, no. I mean, why?
Is what I'm saying.
But see, there you go. I find that a particularly petty and juvenile fight back. The same thing goes for me. I'm a blue-eyed, blonde-haired East End St. John's boy. If I break a law that I find unjust, I get punished just like you did. I'm asking you a simple question. Do you think it's okay to advocate and applaud people supporting those who break the law? Simple question.
Of course, if you don't like the law and you think it's unjust, go for it.
Well, fair enough. There's your answer then, as opposed to coming after me when all I did was ask you a question. You called me.
Yeah, absolutely. I called you because you can give me the visibility I need to talk about this thing.
Well, and I continue to offer you that kind of stuff, sir. Do you think there's a slippery slope?
Very much. I really appreciate that. I do. I'm not being snide about that. I really do.
Jim, do you think...
I really enjoy your going around with Bruno. That is really exceptional.
Yeah, we might get that today. I'm not so sure if I can handle it today or not. But, Jim, when we... And this is a legitimate question, sir, because, as a father of young children and knowing that the tension in the country on all levels is getting so extreme, do you think we are going down a dangerous road when we do indeed have any mass support, whether or not breaking the law means walking down a road that you consider your own, or breaking the law is breaking out a window of Confederation building, or something physical against someone else? Do you think we're on a slippery slope when we start supporting folks who break the law? And I just mean it as a legitimate, fundamental question.
No, I hear what you're saying, and my defense on that is, of course, if the laws are as draconian as the thing we have here, where I can't even technically drive past a lot without being in 30, 50 meters of it, if I step out of my vehicle and go to my log pile, I'm setting myself for an arrest. It's that simple.
Right.
So to me, that makes that law just a wee bit crummy, and I don't like it.
Is there any other option, you think, sir, to make any impact and get the time that you have on this program, which you're welcome to it at your convenience, and or any other news coverage, as opposed to doing something that could be constituted as breaking the law?
Oh, that was too much for me. I didn't understand that.
I'm sorry. Do you think that, to get some media coverage and impact that you have now, do you think there are options that do not include breaking a law, whether it be an unjust court injunction, in your opinion, or anything else?
Sure.
What would they be?
Whatever suits the situation. Because what we've got going on now is, as you see, you talk about all across the country if people broke these laws. Well, the tension is gathering in the First Nations camps that Harper is ramming those bills through and up north. So, in this case, that applies.
Fair enough, sir. When you hear Mr. Russell saying things like the battle lines have been drawn, to expect these protests to I don't mean to put words in Todd's mouth. These protests will intensify. This is my own opinion. Whether they be in Labrador and around Confederation Building or anywhere else in the province and country, they will get more intense as time goes on because the tensions continue to rise. Do you think we need to start to speak out to make sure they don't get out of control?
Oh, absolutely. Anytime you're ready to show good governance, the government's ready to show good governance, that foolishness goes away. But when you start pushing people like, for heaven's sake, man, we're here. We're at home. They came here to us. We didn't go there to them. They came here they're telling me now that I can't take friends who've been coming here for years and we go see Muskrat Falls. I can't do that anymore because there's an injunction against me because they have work going on up there. If they decide tomorrow they're going to put a site back here behind where I live exactly, I would have to move my house.
Right.
How does that work?
Well, it's going to be something similar for people just living on the isthmus of the Avalon Peninsula here when the transmission lines come through. The legislation today identified 5 family homes that are going to have to be expropriated by government. I wonder, will people support those families, which I am just going to guess. I have no earthly idea, but I'm guessing that they're white, non-First Nations crowd. Do you think they're going to get the same sort of support that you and your brothers have?
What I would expect, actually, there's 2 things there. First of all, they're probably going to be paid a good expropriation fee. If they are, they're happy with it, they'll go. If not, then absolutely bring people out and defend them. That's what democracy is all about. I realize there's a problem on the island recognizing democracy in the colonial terms, but there still is democracy. Yes, absolutely, 100%. I don't care where it's at.
They're going to get a replacement value, so says the quote. Now, that remains to be seen what that equals when push comes to shove. And when it comes to the First Nations, Aboriginals, and Métis, anyone that has been negotiated with, whether or not it's enough or extensive enough, the engagement has been appropriate in your opinion. What should people like me need to know about how we approach dealing with the First Nations so far as settling land claims, acknowledgement of their being there first? Because some people, Jim, you know what what's going on here. Some people think that, including me, that paying for the ills of my forefathers soon has to come to an end. And what is a legitimate compensation to be offered to anyone for land usage of, whether it be for hydro or anything else?
Well, that would depend on each treaty, of course, but in general sense, well, recognition of rights would be Aboriginal rights on the land, Constitution Section 35. That would be first and foremost, an inherent right, and we're coming to an end.
Right.
When I no longer have offspring, I guess that's where it ends. When you and I merge to the point where we've merged completely as a single culture, then that's done. You know, this is not hard to follow. But when you live in a mosaic such as Canada, and we recognize and celebrate mosaics, then for sure we have to recognize each other's differences. That's not what you want to see. When I hear Ms. Dunderdale, the Premier's up there squawking about how she had 2 Aboriginal groups there represented and mine not represented, she's denying my culture. And she's telling me that if I have no recognition, we do have recognition by the federal government, we're funded. We have a funded organization, so we are recognized. The fact that our land claim is not accepted and they don't recognize that we're on the land, well, you come here and tell me I'm not on the land, I'll kick your ankle so hard I'll break it, you'll know I'm on the land. That's what this is taking.
Jim, and it's an interesting point you bring up, because the recognition of differences and to all fall under some level playing field of equality, however people measure that, is of course different in people's minds. Does it sound like there's a disconnect there that people like me need to understand when we want to be equal, but yet many Aboriginal communities want to be treated differently than others based on historical significance as opposed to the current realities of life? Like me, for instance. I don't enjoy any of these additional benefits that some Aboriginal groups can get through land claim settlements and what have you. For those who don't understand, how does that add up to equal, and when do you think that we've achieved this measure of restitution and of fairness with our First Nations brothers and sisters?
Okay, first identify benefits. What do you mean by benefits?
Like whatever comes from a land claims agreement and a settlement based on money, and or benefits from the federal government based on tax revenue, tax exemptions, and what have you.
No, the settlement is not based on money. The settlement is based on surrender of land.
Yeah, how's compensation offered?
For that, you get a governance fee that covers governing your own people to carry on your own social mores, whatever they are. So there's no benefit.
Okay.
There's a simple shift in, we're a socialist country, you know that. That's a simple shift in funds. They say, well, okay, you take this parcel of land, but every Canadian has a perfect right to walk across it as they've always done. Can't be excluded from it. Nope, no fences go up. Everybody still moves on as if they were free. But the only point is your culture now will look after this pot of money for that square of land. And people will have to consult with you when they go on that land if they're going to buy or occupy.
Right.
Unless, of course, it's mineral. We have no surface rights in this country. Individuals have no surface rights as they do in the United States. So the state owns the minerals, right?
Yes, sir.
So that's what I've learned from knocking around and being in this mix-up. That answers your question.
Conversations that we very seldom hear because people are afraid of them. Apparently, we're not allowed to have these conversations in mixed company, which puts us in the spot we're in. People feel like they've been violated. People think that their rights have been infringed upon. We end up doing things other than meaningful conversation, which I hope you and I are having today. I appreciate your call, sir, and you're always welcome to call.
To add to that, I'll tell you right now, it's all about the respect. Once there's respect established of culture and cultures, then this does not occur. But when the cultures are vilified somehow or marginalized because they can't quite catch up, they're just the wrong color, and you and I know color plays into this.
Of course it does. Yes, of course.
And that right there creates a problem. So we can't get past the color bar. I don't care who you are. You say the dark guy down the street or the Aboriginal guy across the street or the white guy up the street. We just do that as reflex. But when they're left out socially, then this becomes a problem. But in Labrador, we have a quite different situation. We are here with our land. There's no problem here. The only problem arises is when people come here and tell us we can't do this, and this. Now, around the construction site, that's completely understandable. Mm-hmm. The judge, I think, slightly miscued. He should have said to Nalcor, all right, you have these areas, you fence them off, you're working there, people don't get in. But with regards to blanket right-of-way, canceling all my constitutional rights to the land, and they don't have to be in the Constitution, they're inherent rights, then I have a problem, and you would too.
And Jim, I completely understand, and my only comment as we part company today is the reference to colour. It's an unfortunate reality that it goes both ways. Some white people look at the First Nations, and the first thing they do is judge people's character or their abilities based on their colour, and unfortunately, it goes the other way as well. Some people in the First Nations look at a white kid and assume that they are opposed to their culture and traditions and their rights in the country, and it's just not so. We got to get past that because that's the roadblock we both face. I appreciate your time, Jim. I wish you all the very best during the holiday season, and call again at your convenience.
Thank you very much.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Any comment there? Listen, those are difficult conversations to have, and so be it. We don't do enough of it, and that's why we are where we are. If you want to talk about that or anything else, you call the program. Don't go away.